So might as well get the ball rolling with the free DVDs for the show itself, how I actually watch the show itself. For the most part, I do sometimes use YouTube, I must admit. These were all released over about an 18-month span between sort of summer 2006 and like late summer, early autumn 2007, if I remember correctly. The first series, or first season, as you can see using the American terminology there, is a Region 1 DVD, and the other two are Region 2 DVDs released in the UK. The second and third sets never came out in America in any form. The first season came out in America a reasonable amount of time before it came out in the UK, as I recall. Even though we're only talking about 18 months here, it came out and there was no UK release date announced at the time I got it, I believe. So I pounced on that at the time. And then obviously I was pleased when it came out in Region 2, even though I never sort of replaced it with the Region 2 version. I was happy with the Region 1 version. And then 2 and 3 followed in suit. So I was very pleased that all 65 episodes of the show were released on DVD. I kind of wasn't expecting it at the time, even at the time when DVDs were big business. Things fall through the cracks, but yeah, it's great to have these, and we'll take a closer look at some of them in a second. So this is the Region 1 DVD for Season 1, as I just mentioned. It's got a fairly standard cover image of Duckula and Nanny and Igor. And if we look at the back, you can see there's quite a nice, I presume it's a production image of Dmitry and Yaroslav, the two bats who come out of the clock in Duckula's castle and tell mostly terrible, corny old jokes, and that's part of what makes it fun. You can see here they've got guides for presumably the ink and paint department, what colours to use when they're painting the cells. As you can see here, it does have some special features. It's the only one of the free releases to have special features. Again, not something I would have ever expected, so gratefully received, including an interview with Brian Cosgrove, who is one of the co-founders of Cosgrove Hall. He is still with us, thankfully. Hall died, sadly, in about 2011. An interview with John Doyle, who's an artist on the show. That's great. And a guide to how to draw Count Duckula with Mike White, another, presumably, Cosgrove Hall artist. And a little bit on how they restored the show, comparing an image from the first episode to an image from the original version as it was broadcast, or like a rough version. I'm not quite sure. I have to say I don't remember it ever looking quite as bad as it does in the unrestored image, but they know better than me. So as you can see, this is a slip cover DVD, and inside there's a little sort of cardboard package with the 3 discs in. There's I believe, like a unique image. It looks like a very different from the standard production or promotional art that was made for the series during the original run, when there's a lot of stock art that was used. This looks like it was commissioned especially for this DVD, and it's quite a nice little unique drawing, so that's quite charming. On the other side, you've got a still image from the show, like a freeze frame from the show. And here are the 3 discs that combine the 26 episodes from the first season or series, depending on whether in the US or UK, how you describe it. But as you can see on the discs, they've also got some production imagery showing the paint schemes for Duckula, Nanny, and Igor. And you can see in the background there's another sort of image from the show put through like a red colour filter. Let's have a look at that, actually. Don't know what episode that is. It might be... No, I don't know. But yeah, that's quite a nice little touch. So there, and you got all the descriptions of the episodes. So yeah, that's the Region 1 set for Count Duckula Season 1. Sorry to anyone in the US that wanted to buy the other 2 seasons that didn't come out here, but as far as the first set goes, pretty good going. So this is the UK 2006, I believe, DVD release of the second series that came out, not in America, unfortunately. No American release, as I said. But you can see the packaging is a bit of a step down from the UK release. I think the US release. I believe it was for the first series as well, but I don't have that to hand. A common complaint among Duckula fans, those that are out there, is that the promotional artwork for the series is often not reflective of the quality of the show. They use a lot of the same images over and over again, including this one that was on several of the VHS covers, I believe. There were also some VHS covers that were a little bit more creative than this, certainly, but some very much weren't. And, a big thing with this is that Nanny's sling is supposed to be on that arm, so they've got that wrong. So that's a bit of a shame. But obviously, you're not buying this to get an image of Nanny's sling. You're buying this, and there you go, it's just wrong on that side again. You're buying this to get the complete second series of Duckula, and that you have got. So if we just take a look at there. So yeah, another very generic image of Duckula, and same one again from the cover. So yeah, they didn't maybe put the most thought into how to package this. 2007, that's when it was released. They didn't put the most thought into how to package this, but you're buying it for the season to series 2, and at one point I never thought I'd get all the Duckula on DVD, and I have, so can't really complain too much, but shame the packaging isn't better. And this is the set for series 3, which is a little bit of a step up in terms of the image of Duckula used, even though they're using the same 2 images of Nanny again. The only slight thing that's a bit off with it is they've got the character there, Dr. Matarex, who only appears in one episode, Mysteries of the Wax Museum, which is a Series 2 episode, so he does not appear on this DVD at all. So that's a bit sloppy and a bit unfortunate. But again, as I should say, it says complete Series 3. It's actually the complete Series 3 and 4, because Series 4 consisted of 7 episodes that aired in the UK in 1993, a couple of years after Series 2 finished, which is quite odd. No, I don't quite know when it happened, although several episodes had already been released on UK VHS by the time it aired in 1993, so they weren't new if you were a serious Duckula fan at the time, I suppose. I was a bit out of the loop at the time, I must confess. It's great to have the last remaining episodes, because I was slightly concerned at the time, as I recall, that they might release Series 3 and then not bother with the final 7 for Series 4. But they're here, so that's great. And as you can see, Dr. Matarex again. So I think he's also on one of the discs. Standard image of Duckula again. And yes, Dr. Matarex is on there. But also I should mention there's Soames and Potson, the wittily named Holmes and Watson parodies that appear in Mysteries of the Wax Museum, so that's probably why they're there. But luckily they are in an episode, at least one episode, that's on this set, so it's appropriate for them to be there to some extent. So well done inadvertently, I guess. But yeah, any complaints I have about the packaging, it pales in comparison to the ability to have Duckula on DVD. Most episodes have been uploaded by Fremantle, the company that owns the rights, to YouTube legally. I thought it was all episodes, but I searched for one, I think yesterday, that didn't come up. So not every episode is on Fremantle's YouTube. They have like a Duckula page, and they also have like a flashback kids TV page of uploaded episodes. They might have had all of them at some point. They might have taken some off. But, I think all episodes are currently on YouTube. Obviously, some of them are from illegal. But, who knows what happens with YouTube in the future. DVDs will, some people say they rot, but hopefully that's not true. Or hopefully they'll still work. So, yeah, great to have all of them for posterity in pretty good picture quality. I'll say there's one episode, Manhattan Duck, that's always looked a little funny on these DVDs to me, but that could just be the way the episode looks, because it's set in New York, so they wanted a different colour tone or something like that. But no real complaints. just petty complaints about the packaging, and overall great that it was released on DVD. So yeah, this is how I mostly watch the show these days, between this and YouTube. But before these DVDs came out, I did have quite a few episodes on, well, I think almost a complete run on VHS, either from VHSs that I had when I was very young, or VHSs that I bought from second-hand stores and car boot sales and charity shops and so forth when I was slightly older, or taped off a repeat run on Nickelodeon in like 97, 98. So there were a couple I didn't have. I know that Autoduck from the first season is one that I didn't recall ever seeing when I got the first season DVD. So that was good. It's not one of my favourites, but still good to see. But yeah, I think most, or maybe not most, but like a pretty huge chunk of the 65 episodes of Duckula were released on VHS in the UK, which is quite unusual for the time. The UK buying VHSs was much more common in the UK than it was in the US. I've learned in recent years, maybe more common than it was anywhere, possibly because our TV shows very famously have very short episode counts per series. So, if you wanted to buy all of the first 6 series of Red Dwarf, for example, it would take far fewer VHS tapes than it would to buy 3 seasons of Cheers. So, that worked out in its favour for TV shows on VHS. So, yeah, I had a number of professionally released Duckula VHS tapes that I no longer own because, I'm not going to watch them on VHS. And as much as I love Duckula, I don't really want those great big bulky things hanging around the house when I'm not going to watch them. I must admit, maybe thinking about it, I could have kept the covers because that would have been nice to maybe put them in a scrapbook or something, but I did not think of that at the time. I mean, you can see all the images online anyway, but yeah, I didn't think of that. So I don't have any remnants of the vast majority of the VHS tapes I own, but there is one exception. So this is the UK VHS for Astroduck. I've held onto this because it's got a pretty unique cover, as you can kind of see. There's some raised plastic here, and what this used to do was you could press the button on Duckula's kind of joystick here, and it would play a delightful instrumental version of the Duckula theme tune. Now, sadly, this no longer works. I did try to get it working, but I still haven't quite had the heart to get rid of this VHS tape. I just love the way it looks. It also, this is also the one when I was about 9, and Duckula had been popular when I was about 5, so huge difference at the time. This VHS tape we'd held on to, and one day my grandfather just said out the blue, what I really liked was Count Duckula, and he said, I'd like to watch one again. And, at the time when you're 9, 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was, already pretty nostalgic. So we got this out of the cupboard and we watched it and we enjoyed it very much. He was laughing hysterically, I remember. And that led to where I am today, where, I'm here talking about Duckula, 35 years after it was first broadcast. And it's partly responsible for me retaining my interest, I think, this video. So got a bit of sentimental value for me. This, just for the record, had 4 episodes. Most videotapes had 3. Some were bumper editions that had 5. But this episode was Astroduck, the rest is history. And 2 episodes Around the World in 12 Days and The Zombie Awakes. Neither of these I believe, had been broadcast on TV at the time that this VHS tape was released. They were broadcast as part of the 7th series in the UK in 1993. So I don't know quite why they did this. They're putting out episodes that hadn't aired, but I think because they were all produced in a batch, and I guess how they aired was down to ITV. But so that would have been pretty cool at the time. But good VHS tape at the time. But I don't actually watch it, but I'm still holding on to it for old time's sake.